Hey guys, Mel the Train Tutor here again with another Battlezones tutorial. Yes, I know I'm getting really stuck into this Mantic build. Yeah, for the Help for Heroes charity build, yeah. Obviously, links down below as usual if you want to get your hands on the terrain set. But let's talk about Mantic's Ruins, okay, their Battlezone Ruins. Now, I've covered their normal panels, and I've done a product overview on them and build tips and stuff like that. So I'll throw a link up to that if you've not used these things before. And basically, they're square panels, okay? Mantic recently came out with a whole new selection of panels, and basically what they've done is all their original panels, they've brought out ruins for, okay? And basically, you've got all the various panels they've got in various stages of ruinness. Yeah, so with this case, you can see that that's a corner piece off there, and there's larger bits, but I've used those, so I can't show you. If you're interested in what the sprues look like, the whole set, go check out Mantic's website. Okay, in another example, that's a bit of a broken window. That's another bit of a broken window. Not a hard bit, but let's have a look at this. Yeah, so here we have, where is it? I must have one at least. I don't have one at least. I'll show you one here. Yeah, here we have a full window. Then you've got sort of half a window. Moving on, you've got sort of the bottom of a window. Yeah, and then moving on, you've got the corner of a window. Okay, so we've got quite a few bits here going from the original one all the way down, okay? But that's where the challenge with the ruins ends. Beyond that, it's just normal sort of clipping together, putting together, constructing, So if you're doing Deadzone, I mean, literally you can just add these onto your pre-existing builds. If you just want to do some scatter scenery, no problem at all with this stuff, no problem whatsoever. Yeah, quick sort of shout out, there are sort of like standalone sort of rubble piles that you can put up against walls. Yeah, there's these which are sort of connectors, so they would go between there, and if I give it a little wiggle, because I'm not really looking what I'm doing, yeah, that's where I need to be looking, right here. Yeah, and they can act as connectors, much like these buttresses. Okay, so very simple to use, but let's be honest, you haven't come here to see me do simple stuff. You want to see me sort of push these ruins, and that's the whole idea of this build, going beyond the normal Deadzone sort of stuff. So shall we crack on? Now what I want to do is I want to make a blown out building. Okay, not a few bits of scatter terrain or anything like that, but a physical structure that people can interact with, move their models inside, and when you look at it, you can see a sort of narrative to the building. So let's move these out of the way for a second, and let's start looking at a building. Well, obviously you've seen this, so that's going to be one wall, isn't it? Yeah. Then we need a couple of other walls. Yeah, so that wall can go sort of there. That wall can go sort of there. And that leaves us with this wall, and this is where I want it to be blown out. Okay, so I want to do a blown out wall. So what I'll do is I'll get one of these window pieces, I'll put it there. I'm shoveling around so you can get it. It's an awkward camera view that I'm not really used to using, but I want to get a good view on this, guys. Yeah, I'm going to do another window piece there. Okay, so yeah, I've got a really blown out, but there's sort of a big gap here, and I don't like it as such. Yeah, so what I want to do is I want to get this small one and sort of put it in between. But I've got no floor, I've got no connectors. Yeah, so I've got to figure out a way of basically fixing this to these without connectors. And actually, it's really simple. Yeah, first off, Mantic supply special connectors. Yeah, specifically for this job in the kit. Okay, and they're called sprues. So, yeah, and I can glue it across. Yeah, simples. But The other challenge is, well, obviously I want it to line up. Okay, so how am I going to do that? Well, that's simple as well. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in a 3-piece, not the sofa. Okay, I'm going to go to my little tub of connectors, empty them all out because I can't go digging for single straights, so I need 3 single straights, and all I'm going to do is put one quickly on there and then one on there. Yeah, I'm going to put, I'd say there's more room on this side, so I'll put one there. Yeah, and then finally I'm going to put one there. And obviously you can see these are well used, so they're a little bit loose, but that doesn't matter. I don't need them to sort of hold in place for the build. I just need them to hold in place for while I glue this sprue down. And then it is just literally a simple matter of putting your bar on, bit of glue, sticking it down. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to crack on and do that. Okay, see you in a second, guys. So that's probably dry by now, fingers crossed, eh? Shall we find out? So all I'm going to do is turn it over, and I'm probably going to pop the bottom panels off, if you know what I mean. Come on, this is the only one that's stuck really firm. And then this side, wiggle it just a little bit. There you go. And it's not 100% dry, I don't think, but no, it definitely isn't. Right, well, I'll straighten that up. But you can see basically the idea there, guys. I've used the, the buttresses and these connectors from this piece to basically line that up. And what I'll do is in a little while is I'll throw another bar over the other side when that side's completely dry. But for the time being, I'm going to reconnect this and just keep that still. Now, you can see straight away that there's a bit of an issue. Okay, and my bit of an issue with this is if I hold it up like that, you can see that this bit, okay, doesn't look right. Okay, and it's going to need clipping and sort of blending back in with this. Now, my plan was to to actually do this with a Dremel, because this is part of my Mantic build, so that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to show you the techniques you can use to do that, okay, on the roof. So shall we have a look at the roof? Right, we've got the front of the build there, essentially. Yeah, we've got the sides there. So we need to build a roof for it. So obviously, mighty hole. Let me see if I can move this just a little bit further down for you guys. There you go. Yeah, there you go. If I move that off a camera, you don't even know it's connected. See how genius was that? Just forget there's anything connected at the bottom. We're cool. We're cool. Good. We're good. Okay, so yeah, that's sort of right. Roof panels. They've got all sorts of different roof panels. Yeah, damaged roof panels. These are the 2 main ones. I think there's another one, but I can't seem to find it. But that makes sense, yeah? That makes sense. Yeah? Boom from the front. Yeah? That makes sense. Now, I have a bit of a problem. These 2 bits here. Mantic doesn't do sort of a 1 corner missing damaged roof. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to use full ones. And I'm going to have to make the damage myself. Yeah? So, quick pen. And basically what I'm going to want to do is just basically cut that out. What I'm going to do is I'll take that one to there. Yeah. So you get the idea. And I'm going to make my own ruins. Now there's a little bit of prep work to this. Okay, and that's basically it. But do you see these bits here? Yeah, these sort of rebars within the panels. They're great for Deadzone because, you know, there's lots of space. But with a building like this where you're going to be reaching inside of it, there's a severe possibility, a high probability that these are going to get snapped as someone pushes in, tries to reach for something. So one of the jobs I need to do is very quickly clip all those off. So I'm going to do that now. So they're all done. Okay, I've been really sort of messy because I know I'm going to hit this up with the Dremel afterwards for my for the build. Yeah, but if you're sort of wondering, you know, oh, it looks a bit rough and ready, how do I blend it in? All you got to do is look for a triangular hobby file. Yeah, so one that's, you know, got an edge on it, and you can just go in afterwards and sort of weather it up and, you know, get rid of little bits. It's plastic, it's files, you know what you're doing, guys. Okay, but these bits, what we need to do here is sort of rip them off. Okay, so we need to go and get rid of that. Now, the way I do this is, I mean, I could cut through it, I could Dremel through it, you know, I could use a hobby saw and all that sort of stuff, but I find the simplest, easiest way to do it is get in, yeah, give it a bit of a clip. Not with those, I won't. Come here, baby. Proper tool. If I struggle with this now, I'm going to look like a right muppet. Now, one of the things I'm going to be doing when I do this, yeah, is sort of angling it towards me on this corner. Okay, because if you think about it, if something had blown up inside, it would blow outwards. Yeah, so everything would be bent this way. Yeah, so I'm avoiding bending downwards. So squeeze it. Oh, you git. Right, I'll start up here. Hey, that one's gone. Come on. That's it. Yeah. Again there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to do this side now. Yeah, and once again, I'm bending that way. Let's clip that. Throw one in there. Yeah. So there you go, guys. With a bit of brute force, yeah, snapped it up. Now, like I said, you can hit it with a hobby knife, you can hit it with smaller clippers and do extra work on it. And I'm going to do a little bit more on this with my Dremel. Plus, I've got another couple of little things to show you. But quickly, let me do this one. Much quicker with the right tools, guys. So there we've got those. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to hit it with the Dremel, but you can use hobby knives and that sort of stuff to, to sort of extenuate the damage and blend this into this. Okay, that's the word I'm looking for, boss. Right, but I want to do something funky with it, and I actually want to really sort of bend it up and sort of make it look exploded. Now, to do this, I have to melt it. Now, there's sort of, I'll talk about melting it in a second, but there's sort of a bit of pre-work I want to do with it. And basically what I want to do is cut some little slits into these to make little flaps so I can bend the flaps upwards. So I'm going to do that now. So they've all had little slits cut into them so I can make flaps to bend up. Now, just before I get the heat gun out, yeah, you can't use hot water for melting these. It just doesn't work. It may work on the models and that sort of stuff, but I've tried it on these panels and, you know, it just doesn't work for me. Okay, if you can get hot water to work on it, post a video, show me how, because I'm not sure. Yeah, but I'm going to use a heat gun. Obviously, caution with heat gun, it hot, it melts. Yeah, really, I shouldn't be doing it on my desk. Yeah, I should be doing it, you know, on a workbench and that sort of stuff. But I want to show you how it's done. Now, a couple of caveats that you need to be aware of before. There's two ways of melting this. You can sort of construct it and then melt it, which will give you a more organic feel. But the problem comes with things like these connectors. These are actually made, I think it's either because they're smaller parts or perhaps they're made of a softer plastic. Yeah, they melt quicker than what the panels do. Yeah, they heat up. So if you've got the connectors in place and you're blasting it with a heat gun, they will melt far more excessively than the panels. So you need to be aware of that. Now, I'm not too overly concerned because I'm doing a heavy weather look, but just be aware of it, guys. Now, if you're doing them separately like that, like this, it's not a problem. Your challenge in this case is making sure that after you've melted them, you can actually connect it up. Okay, and we'll go through that. Don't worry, we're cool. Right, guys, I've got all my tools together now and start faffing about. What we're going to do is we're going to basically blast this with heat and bend these bits back up. Now, I've got a couple of tools here that I'm going to use. I'm going to use these long nose pliers for the actual bending. Okay, but I'm also going to use these, and these are a pair of forceps. They are forceps, aren't they? Are they the clamps? Oh, I can never bloody remember. But basically, they're a medical tool. Yeah, they're grips. Yeah, but what's handy about them is they've got a ratchet system on there. So what I can do is I can literally just grip that in the corner. I can ratchet it, and I know that that's sort of held on now nice and good. So I can just sort of hold it like that. Yeah, and I don't have to worry about holding on to it. But you can just use two pairs of pliers. And what I'm going to do is hold it like that. I'm going to blast the heat round here. Okay, and then with these, we're going to bend it back. So you can watch me do this. Yeah, so heat gun. I suppose you could do it over a candle or something like that. I don't recommend it, guys. You know. So I've got it on its lowest setting. Yeah, and I'm just waving it up and down that area, and I can start to see the edges to sort of melt and curve in. The cracks are getting a little bit more, what you call it, more open. Yeah, you see? The cracks where we cut into it. So it's naturally shrinking the way I want it to go. Yeah, let's get a bit of heat right in the middle. Okay, switch that off, and before it cools, I'm going to grab your pliers and very quickly give it a turn up. Yeah, can you see what I'm doing? I'm sorry I'm off camera, but obviously it's heat and all that sort of stuff. There you go. Right, so let's have a look at that. Okay, guys. So you can see how the heat has caused the plastic to retract, and it is still sort of quite hot to touch, giving us a more open sort of crack where our cuts were really tight. Yeah, you can see how it's melted off, sort of the edges, and smoothed everything off. Yeah, above all, yeah, you can see how it's bent. Yeah, if I put it flat now, yeah, you can see literally how it sort of comes up. Okay, I've got a little bit of melting of the connector there. That's not a major problem, yeah, because all these bits, yeah, where I'm going to be connecting it to the building are absolutely fine. So I'm going to crack on and do the rest of my pieces now. So guys, there's the finished piece. Okay, and as you can see, that's far more realistic of like a blown up. Everything's sort of blended in. That melting process works well for that. There's still work to do on it, you know. I need to get clippers in there and sort of break up some of this smoothness. I'm going to use a Dremel, but you can use clippers, hobby saws, all that sort of stuff. Now, a couple of points I want you to sort of take away from this, yeah, is obviously you're melting plastic. Yeah, things are going to change. And the idea that you're going to be able to restrict it to just a tiny little area, it's a struggle, guys, to be perfectly honest. Now, if you take a look at this, yeah, you can see where I got a little bit, carried away. Yeah, and wasn't watching properly. Yeah, and I've melted that connector and that connector. Now, that isn't a problem because it's hard plastic, so it's getting glued anyway. Yeah, so I don't have to rely 100% on the connectors. Yeah, in a similar situation, this piece has got a little bit of a rock on it, but I'm gluing it down, you know. All I've got to do is hold it in place while it sets, and then once it's set, it's fine. Okay, so with that at the front, that on the top, yeah, we have, and of course, our normal sort of walls. Of course, the front door, yeah, we have a building. Now, all that remains is for me to put it together, so I'm going to do that now. I'm in the process of putting this together, and as you can see now, it's sort of come more of an actual build, and you can see the roof, etc. You can see how it works. Now, I've realised there's a little bit more work to do on it because these corners don't really work for me, so I'm going to hit it with another heat gun in a little while and blast it again. And of course, I've got more to do. But what I wanted to do is just show you quickly what to do when you melt off your connectors. Now, if you remember that piece, yeah, I know it's not focusing, guys, but you can see easily that's melted off. What I've done is I've put a connector at the other side, and I have removed the lug from it, so it's just a shelf. I've forced the connector into the other side of this piece, and then what I can do is I can come in here and I can connect that and glue it onto there. Now you may say, but Mel, that's only just one connector, it doesn't connect to these sides. What are you going to do about that? Well, that, gentlemen, is really simple. As soon as this glue comes out, I will show you. Come on. Yeah, a bit of glue on there. There we go. And whack that into there. Okay, and then just let it sit. And that one connector will hold it firm enough for that glue to set. Now, I've only just put, I'm going to go underneath and seal it more. But obviously, where these connectors have melted off, yeah, and you're not going to be able to get the standard straight ones on it anymore. Well, I will, but, you know, it may be a struggle with severely cooked off ones. What you can do is you can use bits of plastic card, and all you've got to do is just cut a little strip off, yeah, and just glue it on the underside. Yeah, so on the underside there. Okay, and that will keep the piece nice and rigid. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to look at each connector, figure out which ones will fit and which ones won't, and then cut the lugs off and glue them with plastic glue so I maintain that look. But before I can do that, I've just got to blast that with a bit more heat. And then, guys, this is essentially ready for all the extra stuff. So I'm going to do that now, guys. Okay, guys, here's the final finished piece. Yeah, and as you can see, I've bended those corners back in. I've also added connectors back in, and what I've done is I've specifically used connectors that I've broken in the past when I've sort of been messing around. Yeah, because the lugs are already broken off, so I can just drop them on top. Yeah, and of course, you know, as part of my Help the Heroes project, I'm going to be weathering it up, and you know, so I'll disguise those in. It's not a problem whatsoever. Also, just so you know, I didn't go with plastic card in the end. I went with Mantic sprues. Yeah, just to sort of add the reinforcements between the pieces. Okay, and just to bring you a few close-ups, yeah, you can see what the sort of melt damage looks like. Yeah, and if I bring it in profile, you can see how that sort of lifts up. Not massively, I only wanted a subtle lift with this. I didn't want that sort of blunderbuss ripped open, you know, when it's got a cork stuck in it. Wile E. Coyote sort of explosion. Now, you may be wondering, yeah, what it's like if, well, what happens if you put everything together and you want to warp it? Well, let me put this to one side and bring in this. Now, remember, guys, this is a work in progress. Remember, it's a bit like tidying your room, okay? Everything gets messier before it gets done. Yeah, so don't judge the end raffle stuff on what you see now. Judge it on, you know, what you'll see in the next update. But this is a piece that I put together first, then hit it. And this is where I came across the fact that the connectors are softer and little things like that. But if you notice, yeah, by putting them together first, I've been able to get far more of an organic sort of curve to the building and actually bend the building out as well, rather than doing them as individual pieces and putting them together. So there's ups and downs, you know, there's benefits and there's there's disadvantages to doing it both ways. My best suggestion is if you're just doing little bits, yeah, do them as separate panels, okay? But if you do want to get that sort of really ripped apart building feel, you know, and if you see that, if you actually look at this, I don't know if you can tell from there, but the walls actually splay outwards on this, like it's literally ripped apart. Okay, then, you know, put it together and softly heat it and slowly bend it back. Remember, this has got plastic quality, so you can heat it up, you can bend it, hold it in a position while it cools. Yeah, once it's cooled, it's set, and then you can come back and heat it up and adjust it more. You don't have to do it in one go. Yeah, the less you're doing it, the more control you've got. Now, obviously, this is on a base because I've got other funky stuff to do along with this one. But right now, this is the last you will see of these until the Help for Heroes build, T-minus 40-day update. I'm on schedule, guys. I'm keeping on schedule, but you're not going to see these until those, okay? So, basically, this is how you can sort of funk up your Mantic Ruins a bit further and, you know, how to deal with tricky bits and how to shape it and all that sort of stuff. I really genuinely hope you found this interesting, guys. Like it if you like it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Above all, please comment. Any questions, any advice, throw it in the comments. And finally, if you want to get your hands on this stuff, guys, the link's down here. It'll be here, trust me. Click on it, go check out the information, make a donation to Help for Heroes, and for every British pound that you donate, you will get you will get one virtual raffle ticket into winning this entire 6x4 terrain set, or a terrain set designed to go on a 6x4 table. Don't forget, if you do make a donation, at the end it'll ask you if you want to share your contact details with me. You have to tick that box, okay? Otherwise you're not in the raffle. I won't have your details. So tick that box, guys. But in the meantime, I've got to walk the dog. I've got plenty more to do on these. Loads to do, guys. Have a cracking day. All the best, and ta-ra.